make an example project for the kids to see. So I just made one on the Little Dipper using LED lights, cardstock. I did have use my vinyl cutter, which I know they don't have access to, and scratch. And basically created this kind of frame back here, a bunch of circuits and Makey Makey. So it's everything they have access to. And really what happens when they press this little astronaut button, it lights up. And then I have this little audio file like this.
The Little Dipper's official name is the Ursa Minor. We mostly call it the Little Dipper. It goes hand in hand with the Big Dipper.
Alright guys, so I want to showcase how I made this Makey Makey project that I created for an elementary school for their Discovery Day. They had an event where kids could come learn about the Makey Makey and coding, and we did all things focused around their standards of space. And so I made this cutout here. This is just a black foam board. It says Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper, and you can see it's kind of got this vinyl cut, so it kind of changes color depending on how the light goes. And I've got the Little Dipper on there. I've then created a little button using a vinyl cutter. This is just foam board 2 of an astronaut. So, and then I just vinyl cutted the planet Earth. And so this is a trigger, as you saw in the previous part. So when they go and push this button, it creates a trigger where the lights light up, and then an astronaut speaks on the Scratch program, which we'll show here in just a minute. But first, let's talk about how we made this, how we set this up. And so what I did is I just went to the hobby store, went to Michael's, and I just bought 2 sheets of black foam board. And this is one right here that you can see. I know there's a lot on the back. This is just a standard foam board right here. And I didn't cut anything to that. I just kept that standard because I thought that'd be easiest for kids and people to learn from. And then the second one I cut into a box. And so as you look at this here, the goal of the box was to help me hide my wires, as well as to create a stand so it's easy to carry and transfer, as well as be able to hide all my wires. And then eventually I'd like to put a lid on here and really cover all this up. I just haven't got to that point yet. But this one here, I don't know if you can see, I made it about 6 inches tall, the cutout, and I did that all the way around. So I cut a 6-inch all the way across here. So this is 6 by 18 on the back side. Rectangle. I did the same thing for the bottom. I just went a little bit bigger to keep track, you know, obviously so it could all fit. And then the sides, I did 6 inches by 6. So I just did a complete square there on the sides. And I cut those out and I just hot glued it all together because that was the glue that I used, and it worked out really well. And so what I did, because I needed space to be able to clip the alligator clips. And so, I don't know if you can see in here very well, but I hot glued this foam board to the frame. And so I made a box. So I cut out 2 of these pieces, and then obviously the 2 side pieces, and then a bottom piece. Hot glued all that together, and then I hot glued this board into it. What that allows me to do then is to clip all the alligator clips to the board, and it kind of locks it in place. And so I know that's a little hard to see there in that code or in the video, but this holds all the alligator clips, so I don't have to like do any taping of those when I'm building it out. Once I super glued all that together, I just punctured a little hole in the back for the Makey Makey power wire to go to the computer for the USB. And what I did here, I just used a white gel pen to create the stencil of where I wanted a Little Dipper. And this is actually to scale. I found a template online. And then I just took a little tiny screwdriver and I poked my holes to get my LED lights punctured through. Once I had those punctured through, I just used copper tape. And I used copper tape and I ran all my leads down to the bottom of the foam board, because it's easy to clip those alligator clips. And so I wound them in a way in which there wouldn't be any overlap, which is why you can see some of the different wiring. But I ran those all down because it's easy to clip. Once I did that, I clipped one lead, one alligator clip to the ground. So on your Makey Makey, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ground. All right, but if you notice, I have 7 lights. So what am I going to do here? I've got more lights than I do ground. And so the way that I worked around this, as you can see here, I have one of these clipped to a wire and then inserted into the ground peg in the Makey Makey. So that's how you can get your 7. And then the rest are all just clipped. And what I did here is I just did this as I plugged it into the key out command with one white wire that comes in Makey Makey kit. And then I just added all the alligator clips for the power onto that strip. So they're all triggered by one button. So when I push the button, they all light up together, as opposed to trying to clip those in separately. So that's the basic wiring. In terms of the button, all right, this is just foam board here. And I just have foil. I know it's kind of hard to see here. Foil on both sides. And I just took a little sponge and glued those on there. And so when the sponge or when the foil touches, that creates a circuit. And I've got one side of the foam board gets wired into the up key, and the other is wired into the ground. And the reason I have it into the up key is that's what I use for all my coding. And so this is just a basic layout of how I structured the foam board display: foil, copper tape, alligator clips. Now let's go and jump into the code so you can see like how this all codes together. So what I've done, I have gone through and I've created 3 sprites. And so the way I've done this, I just went up here to new sprite from library, and I just grabbed some from here. You could go and design and create your own, but I just picked the ones that I needed. And so what I've got, I have these 3 sprites that I picked. One, this is just a screenshot that I uploaded of the person that is going to do the speaking on behalf of the Little Dipper. These I pulled from the library. I also then have 3 stage backdrops, which I just pulled also from the library as well. And so what I've got going on is I have the first person that pops up, this little guy here. And I just created this code over here so that when I start the code by using the flag, this creates or begins the coding platform. I've just used these things. It's going to show the person, the little character, okay? And so I just grab that out of this looks command. It's going to show the sprite. It's going to wait 1 second, and then it's going to say or make a command. It's going to put like a little comment bubble in here. Say to press the space bar to begin. And then I went over here to the control panel, and I did this wait until. So I dragged that over, and I waited until the space bar was pressed. And then once that space bar was pressed, I'll wait 1 second, and then I hide this sprite. And then it goes through and it triggers in the next sprite, which is this little guy. And so when this happens, I have, when the space bar is pressed, she's going to pop up. And then she's going to say, click the astronaut to learn about the Little Dipper. So the astronaut is on the foam board that I was sharing earlier. And what this will do, it'll play a sound ripple. And then it's going to wait until the up arrow is pressed. And so my astronaut, the way I have it wired into the Makey Makey, is I have it plugged into the up arrow command on the Makey Makey. So when that astronaut, the 2 pieces of foil connect, it triggers the signal of the up arrow on the keyboard. And so when that happens, she disappears, and then this guy pops up, which is the actual person of who is doing the speaking for me on this particular project. And so this shows when the up arrow is pressed, which I just grabbed this down here, okay, in these commands, or in these events, excuse me, when this here I just change it to the up arrow pressed, we show his sprite, and then it just says this information, and this is just his bio while he's speaking. And then it also says when the up arrow is pressed, it plays the audio recording. So I got this sound block right here in the sound, this play sound. And what I did is over here in sounds, I just uploaded the file. So I went here to upload, and I just chose the MP3 file that he sent me. And that's the file that I used over here in the script. And so I just went to this and I played it, and then I would hide. And so when I go to run this, you can see that it's going to show that first sprite that we talked about. Press the space bar to begin. When I press the space bar, okay, it says click the astronaut to learn about the Little Dipper. And I'll just hit the up arrow on my keyboard for now, but on the Makey Makey, it would be when the astronaut is pressed.
The Little Dipper is a constellation which is visible from Earth's northern hemisphere. It's also known as Ursa Minor, which is Latin for little bear. And it kind of looks like a soup ladle. The Little Dipper appears to be pouring into the Big Dipper. It has 7 stars, the brightest of which is called Polaris, which is the North Star. They call it the North Star because it is situated directly over Earth's North Pole. Polaris is a yellow-white supergiant, which is about 430 light years away from Earth. You can find Polaris by lining up the 2 stars at the end of the Big Dipper's bowl and following that line straight to Polaris.
And so that's what it plays. And so you can see here how we can start to write simple code, but we have a lot of cool things happening just by thinking through step by step, what do I want to have happen and which block do I need. So that's how I coded it, and I showed you how to make it. Now I look forward to seeing what you create on your own, and I would love to see pictures and videos of your own creation. So I look forward to seeing it, and stay awesome, everybody.